And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with the Game Boy Geek.
Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Today we are going to feel like we are on a game show. Do you remember that game show back in the day called Password, where you'd say one word at a time, try to get your partner to answer that? It's kind of like a quiz show. Today we're looking at Pass-Ack words. It's kind of a play on words, because kind of like backwards passwords. Pass-Ack words, instead of, you know what I mean. Good Clues Gone Bad from R&R Games. It's exactly for 2 players of 2 teams, so 4 players total. This is designed to be only a 4-player game, but it's like Password. Let's check it out. I'll show you how it's played, and I'll see you on the other side. Pass-Ack is designed for 4 players only, 2 teams of 2. The teammates actually sit diagonally across the table from each other, and one team will start and they will select one of these. It's kind of like Password with a twist. So they would select one of these clues and they give it to the opponent across the table, which might seem different because you don't want them to guess off your clue. So what you're trying to do when it's your turn and you're giving the clue is you're trying to give them a clue that they won't get, a hard one. You'll also possibly, if you know your partner well, who is diagonally across from you, you might be able to give a clue that hopefully the person or the opponent that you're giving the clue to won't know it, but your partner might know it. And so let's just say that, now obviously the person who's reading this would see this, not the guesser, just the people that are reading this would see any of these clues. And the person reading the clues might say bicycle, and they might not know it, so we put a select there. And they might not know it, and then we would pass this to the person next to me who's on the other team, and that person's then going to ask their opponent, which is my teammate, and they might say business, and they basically get one guess to try to get it. And it keeps going on and on until all these are done, until someone guesses the correct word. In this case, card. It's a baseball card, a bicycle card, a birthday card, a business card, a deck of cards, flash cards, library card, Pokemon cards, and card shark. So that would be it. So it's different in that you're trying to mix up your opponent by allowing your teammate to get the answer. So now I know normally you wouldn't just be going in order, you'd be trying to pick the hardest clues so that the other person is not getting them. But just to give you an instance of what this might feel like as a player, trying to guess it, which would be you. So the first clue is apartment. Second clue is cardinal. Third clue is crunching. Fourth clue is jersey. Fifth clue is lottery. Sixth clue is odd. Got it yet? Seventh clue is phone. Eighth is prime. And the last one is social security. You probably got it by now. It's number. But again, you wouldn't normally be going in order, but I just wanted to give you a chance to feel what it might feel like to try to guess what these are. And again, then you're trying to give your opponent the hard clues so that they don't get it. And trying to maybe sneak one past them to your teammate that they'll be able to get on the next turn. Once the winning team gets to keep this card, and then the first one that gets 5 cards is the winner. All right, well that's Pass-Ack words. Okay, the die-hard Password fans, the people out there that really love the game Password and they're all about it, they might not like this one. Because they're going to feel a little constricted because they're used to being able to say and come up with the clues themselves. So they might not like that. We had a Password player that was like, I'd still rather make up my own clues. But really, out of the population, how many people are diehard Password fans? 1%, maybe, if that, possibly. For all the rest of us that aren't a big fan of Password or don't even know about it, this could be an interesting twist on that for a new game for you. The interesting thing about this game is that since you're giving the clue to your opponent, you're hoping that they don't get it. So at the beginning of the rounds, you're pretty much trying to give them the hardest clues. And you're trying to make it so that, okay, the first not impossible clue is going to be given by the other person who's giving it to my partner. But I'd say the coolest experience I've had with this game is when you know your partner. This game's going to go over a lot better when you know your partner well. Because if you know your partner well, you can sort of manipulate the clues in such that you're saying clues that would normally be hard to someone else, but you know something about your partner that you can kind of slip it by the other person because you're giving it to the opponent, so that your partner kind of like, oh, I got it, I hope he doesn't get it. That's also the coolest experience in this game, is that when you say a clue and you know your partner knows the answer and you're just waiting there and there's this like tension of like, oh, don't guess it, oh, don't guess it, oh, don't guess it, because you're waiting for the opponent to go, I don't know. And you're like, oh, shoot. So that little tension there was probably the coolest experience in this game. Also the other way, when you're trying to guess and you know it, like your partner gives the clue to your opponent and you know it and you're like, oh, don't guess it, oh, don't guess it. So that's probably the best part of this. But, you know, 4 players is kind of a limited player set. We did have a couple times where we had my nephew, and he just ran back and forth and played as a independent guesser for both teams, and that worked. So I guess you can, you know, house rule it and not be so rigid with 4 players. I'll tell you where probably this game, I'm like a diehard gamer, so I probably won't bring this out that often, but I'll tell you where I would bring it out. Road trips. It's tiny. All it is like these cards. You don't even need the box. Just bring the cards. You don't have to be facing each other. You're 4 people in a car, and you could be playing this in a car easily or on a plane. And I like to find these backpack games that I could bring on road trips and in cars and stuff, because it makes traveling so much easier. And I think this game is perfect for that. So this would be, I'm probably going to keep this in my collection, if not just for the travel aspect of it. But there it is. If you like Password, it's probably something interesting. I love it for a travel game. If you're into these game show types of thinky games of trivia type of thing, then you want to check out Pass-Ack.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.